What did you do yesterday? What did you do last week? Have you ever ran into somebody and they're like, hey, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. What are you up to? This happens to me often. And do you ever just sit there and think, what have I been up to? What did I do yesterday? I can't imagine it's just me. And isn't it interesting that we live, it's not interesting, we live in such a fast-paced society that we're like, it's fun to be thinking about the future. It's fun to have like a forward-focused moving, like here's where I'm going. And then sometimes we forget what has happened in the past. And rightfully so. There are things that we want to forget that has happened in the past. But here's something that I want to share with you. I'm super excited about something that we created, but I want you to hear a little bit of the story of where it came from. So years and years ago, our girls were babies. So we have 4 daughters. They are currently 16, 14, 12, and 10. When the girls were little, probably our youngest might have been a baby, we were introduced to something called a remember wall. And all I knew to do was to take a big piece of cardboard and I taped it on the back of our door, like our bedroom door. And I wrote down, it might have been 2013, I wrote down, hey, 2013, remember wall or blessings wall. And then I wrote down January. And then every day, or throughout the weeks and months, when we were blessed with something or we sowed a seed, I would write it down underneath that month. And maybe you're like, what does sowing a seed mean? Have you ever heard of this phrase? You reap what you sow. Maybe you haven't. Have you ever heard people or pastors or people tell maybe a story or use the analogy like, hey, there's seed time and harvest time? Think about it like this. As you go throughout your days and your weeks in your life, you sow seeds. You might not even realize it, but you sow seeds with your words. You sow seeds with your finances. You sow seeds with your time, good or bad, right? And you bless people. So we're focusing on the blessings. And so think about all of the things that you bless people with. Maybe you don't even realize it. Maybe you open a door for somebody. Maybe you paid for somebody's coffee. Maybe you sat down and maybe it didn't mean a lot to you, but you actually spent some extra time with somebody at your work, or you met somebody for coffee and maybe you don't even realize it, but it changed their life. You sowed a seed, right? Eventually you're going to reap what you sow. It's a harvest, right? And as you sow seeds, things come back to you. I also want you to realize that there are blessings and there's things that people do for you, right? They pay for your coffee. They sit down and give you some advice. They open the door for you. They do things for you. And it's so funny how we can be like, thank you. Oh, that's amazing. Or somebody gave you a Starbucks gift card and you're so excited. And then all of a sudden, you open up the card and you're like, that was so sweet. And you put it in your car console, which I actually just did because somebody thanked me. She gave me a Starbucks gift card. I put it in my car. And then all of a sudden, like somebody cut me off as we were driving down the road, and like your mindset shifts and you get in this like different mode. And then you forget about the Starbucks gift card. And then all of a sudden I went out to the car today and my girls go, oh my goodness, remember Mom, we have this Starbucks gift card. And I was like, oh, I actually forgot about it. So years ago, we put up a poster board, right? Taped it to the back of our door, wrote down blessings, and every single day or week or month when we were blessed with something or we sowed a seed into somebody else's life, we wrote it down. And we just kept doing that month after month. And then there are days, I don't know if you like me have kids and you've got daughters or maybe you've got a busy life and you're here and there and you're running around and you work or your husband works. What happens is as we go through life and we sometimes forget those things, right? And so when you're having a hard day or something happens and you're like, I wish this day was over, or hey, that was a terrible choice, or maybe you're like, is this ever going to end, or am I ever going to get the promotion? Whatever it is, I think oftentimes we can forget all of the blessings that have happened over the course of the months or the weeks and the months, right? Does this make sense? So I want you to think about something. When we had a hard day and I was just drained and I was tired, I would sometimes go to that wall that I had and I would look at all of the blessings that our family had been blessed with. Or I would look at the seeds that we sowed and I was like, I'm so thankful that I got to bless that person or spend more time with that person. I say all of that because we created something for you. And really my hope was, how can I help people remember all of the things that happen throughout the year, but maybe it's not taking up an entire wall. And so here's a simple calendar, something that we created really out of a handful of people's brains, a handful of people's ideas. It's not just mine. And we're calling it the Blessings Calendar. And here's what it looks like. It's super simple. But what you're going to do is you're going to get this calendar, and it's just like a calendar. So you can go ahead, and this is what it looks like. So you've got each month. And in each month, you have, there's going to be a quote to remind you throughout the month. But this works and operates like a calendar. So you can write down your amazing schedules, all of your kids' activities, like use it as a calendar. But what I also want you to do is there's some little prompts. There's some prompts for you to write different things in there. Like I want you to write down things that you're grateful for on each day. Or I want you to pencil in a blessing or a seed that you sowed, something that you blessed others with. Or maybe you get to the end of the day and you're like, oh my goodness, my friend gave me a gift card today. I don't want to forget that. So I penciled it in on the day that she did, right? Or you just write down memorable things that happened that day. Because here's what I want you to realize is we got to the end of our first year when we created that Remember Wall, and it was a huge poster board. And I rolled it up and I put it somewhere in a closet. We looked over it in December and I was like, look at all of these amazing things that we were either blessed with or we got to bless other people with. Now, what I can do is I can keep these calendars and I can put them in a file or put them in a folder, put them in my bookshelf, and I can go back and look at them. But at the end of every month, there's an extra sheet. And this sheet, so this is what it'll look like. It's a monthly reflection. And if you take some time, it doesn't have to be long, you can fill it out. And there's things like, what were your wins? Or how did that make you feel? Maybe a couple challenges. You're going to write down accomplished goals, or you're going to write down habits that you either started or things that you eliminated. There's just some questions for you to fill in so that you can remember how January was and then February. So let's say you get to October, and let's say that maybe this was a challenging month and you're like, oh my goodness, and isn't it interesting how when you're in a challenging time, when you're in a space where you're like, this feels like I'm never going to get through it. It's a challenge. And you feel like that's the only thing that's taking over your mind or your time or your home. You can easily go back and go, you know what? I'm going to go reflect on all of the other months and just see how May was. Or I'm going to go look at April, or I'm going to go look at January, and I'm going to review and revisit all of the blessings and all of the seeds that I planted just to remind myself of where I've come from, the things that we've walked through over the course of this year, knowing that I will get through this challenge, or I'll get through this next hurdle, or I'll get past this kind of hardship because I've done it before, right? Like my goal or my intention or my hope is that you can use this not just for a calendar, but it can be used for you to track the seeds and track the blessings so you don't forget. The point is, you don't want to remember the hardships, but you want to remember the things that you've come through and on the other side, and it's going to help you get through the next time you go through one of those hurdles. And so this is actually going to be free for you. We want to give it to you. So what I need you to do is I need you to subscribe to the page. I would love for you to like the video, and I would love for you to post calendar in the comments, and I would love to send it to you for free. So it is our blessing to you. We want you to use it. I would love for you to press the share button. I would love for you to share this with other people. I believe this can be a true blessing for so many people. I'm excited to use it for myself, and I'm excited to hear about all the stories of other people using it. So post calendar in the comments, and I will give this to you. Have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing so many of you on the next video.